All right, Brendan Taylor here, True School Sports. I'm with the one and only Miracle Boy Boxing. First of all, Jose Cruz. Nice to have you on, Jose.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man. I've been watching you for a little bit of time. I like your channel because I've been around for a little bit, seen so many channels come and go over the years, and I like your channel because it's just no nonsense. It's just good old boxing talk. So,
Yep.
before we get into I know we'll talk plenty about Subriel Matias and Terrence Crawford and those kind of things. I kind of wanted you to let people know about your channel, your background, how you became a boxing fan, all that good stuff.
So I became a boxing fan back in 2011. My first fight card that I saw was Cotto Margarita 2,
Okay.
the rematch. My dad battled on pay-per-view. My dad been watching boxing way before I was born, so it's a thing, And from that fight on in New York in 2011 on HBO pay-per-view, I became a fan. I saw Cotto got his revenge against Antonio Margarito that night. And from that point on, man, the fan in me came out. It just clicked from then on. And here I am now, 2024, a fan of this thing called boxing. And I'm proud of it.
and go ahead.
Yeah. So in terms of the Miracle Boy Boxing name, when I was born with a open heart surgery. I got an open heart surgery when I was small.
Okay.
So about 50% less chance of living, actually, and I made it through. And from that point on, I gave myself the Miracle Boy name. And then when I decided to create a YouTube channel, boxing, I decided to come up with Miracle Boy Boxing, and that's how it came about.
Nah, I like it, man, and it's good that you pulled through, and that's tough. That's really tough stuff to deal with, with open heart surgery. So, God bless you. You made it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. It's funny because I don't know if you know this about me, but I became a boxing fan. First fight I ever watched was Trinidad versus Bernard Hopkins, 2001. I was 6.
Yeah.
so yeah, and it's crazy because I didn't know anything about boxing. I was a big wrestling fan, so I like the fact that Bernard Hopkins had the mask on. He looked like a lot of the evil guys in wrestling.
Yeah.
So I rooted for him and he won. So it was kind of funny trolling my dad when I was a kid.
It's funny you mentioned that because I'm as much of a big boxing fan. I'm more wrestling fan as a boxing fan as well. So
really, okay.
My first love was actually wrestling.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite wrestler?
Yeah, John Cena.
Okay. I like John Cena. My favorite growing up, I like Rob Van Dam.
Rob RVD, Mr. Monday Night Raw, all that stuff.
That's right, Mr. Hardcore.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a favorite Puerto Rican fighter of all time? I know there's been so many great ones over the years, but do you have a favorite Puerto Rican fighter?
Oh man, so many greats. The one I really started watching and was Miguel Cotto. He really when I started to do a little boxing workout, I always thought about Miguel Cotto. He inspired me a lot to do this thing, and I liked his style, man. No nonsense style, left hooks to the body, switching it up to the head. Come forward, action.
Yeah, no nonsense. All destruction.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you got a favorite Cotto fight?
My favorite Cotto fight, besides getting revenge on Margarito, that in my opinion is the most satisfying victory of his entire career. But in terms of favorite fight, I think is the Cotto versus Judah fight.
Great fight. I was just watching that the other day.
That's a classic fight, man. That was one of the great fights Madison Square Garden ever held and hosted.
No, 100%. I think my favorite Cotto fight was when he fought Joshua Clottey. That was a close fight. And the reason why that's probably my favorite Cotto fight is because at the time I was living up in like New Hampshire with my family. So there used to be this little lounge / hall. We used to all congregate and go watch the Cotto fights. Yeah. And I just remember because I liked Pacquiao, so I used to troll them about Pacquiao and Cotto.
Yeah. Oh man, that fight was not a nice night for Puerto Rican boxing.
No, it definitely wasn't. It definitely wasn't.
But in terms of the Cotto Joshua Clottey fight, that was a really close fight. And
I
think the knockdown that Cotto scored in the first round made the difference.
It did, but it was razor tight. It could have went either way.
That cut on Cotto's eye was nasty. Everything was just a bloodbath in there, man.
Yeah. So, okay. So now that people know a little bit about the Miracle Boy, Jose, one of the things that I think me and you can really agree on is, and we talk about a lot, especially on this channel, is Subriel Matias. These guys, they don't want to fight Subriel Matias. They say everything but let's fight to Subriel Matias.
Yeah.
So I guess before we get into his career now, you know, what was the first Subriel Matias fight you watched, and what have you thought about his career up to this point?
I first saw Matias fight on YouTube. It was a live stream, I think it was. It was that early. It was like he wasn't even 10 fights in. Okay. And I heard about him because he's from the same area in Fajardo where I'm from. Okay. Right? So, you know, I'm going to support my own, of course. And the only way at that time you could see Matias fight if it's someone recorded it with their phone's camera or someone stream it on YouTube or something like that. So I saw one of his fights, I think it was against Prescott in Puerto Rico. It took place, and that fight ended like in 4 rounds. And I was highly impressed with how Matias looked. The way, the speed and his punches, the power, the pressure. He had a pretty good head movement, good durable chin, as we all know. And it's just the way that he'd been finishing these guys, you know, stepping in with a guy with a 28-1 record in Daniel Estrada, finishing him off in 4 rounds. And, you know, Matias even said in one of his interviews that this guy came to the corner of Matias. Matias is sitting down, ready to come out for the next round because he was just warming up. And he told Matias, I'm done for the night, man. Take care. Crazy.
And he ain't the only one. This happened many times since then.
Yeah. So, and speaking of that, Matias also said that was actually the first no mas.
Okay, but Estrada, Daniel Estrada.
Yeah. Before it was even a thing.
Okay, it's good to know. Yep. I didn't know that. That's good to know. Yeah, he's really worked himself into a great position, being the IBF champion, and I think he's one of the guys in boxing in any weight class. I would classify him as must see TV. Like every time he fights, you gotta watch him fight. So I guess I wanted to pick your brain, right? Because I talk about it, you know, till I'm blue in the face. So it'd be nice to hear from somebody else. What do you think about him and the big names at 40? The guys like Teo, the guys like Devin, the guys like Tank. How do you see him matching up against some guys?
I always say it in my videos as well. It doesn't matter who you are at 140, whether if you're elite level B, C, you're in trouble with Matias. It's just his style of fighting, his durability, his suffocating pressure, his thudding power, his arm punches. He has a style no one has. And this is the thing with Subriel, and if you're an opponent for him, how are you going to prepare for someone like Matias? He has a style no one has. So good luck with sparring partners. You know, good luck with sparring partners. And it's just the way in the variation of speed, man, his punches are so awkward and different. Never seen anyone box like that, but so effective. Mm-hmm. It's like Navarrete with his own style. No one has it, which makes him unique and dangerous.
You can almost break all the rules and he fights in a way that works for him. Nobody else can fight the way, but he makes it work.
Yep. And the thing is with Matias, that when he lands his shots, man, sweats fly all over the place. The way, the impact of his punches, snapping back the head of his opponents is just brutal stuff, man. Brutal stuff in a way that no one at 140 is doing.
Yeah, it was really scary to watch what he did to Ergashev, right? Because I know Ergashev because he trains down here where I'm at, and I know he's good because I've seen him in the gym and whatnot, and I've watched him fight over the course of his career. So I was thinking it was going to be a more competitive fight than it wound up being, and he just made him quit, made him absolutely a nothing fighter.
Ergashev was living up to his hype in a couple early rounds, you know, busting Matias up with power shots, 1, 2, 3 step to the side, 1, 2, 3 step to the side, and I was like, man, those punches are really getting through. But, you know, Matias always been criticized with his defense, but he showed really good defense in that fight. You know, even though some punches were getting through straight up the middle, a lot of those were getting caught in the gloves. Mm-hmm. And lately, that's been Matias's defense as well. Lately, caught in the gloves, held hands high in the air, tight guard, and he's been pivoting, doing this. So he's not just taking shots to the chin, even though he can take it, but he's been showing some defense, and he showed it in that fight as well.
Yeah, and a lot of those shots that Ergashev was landing, you know, a lot of those were like more like grazing shots. It wasn't, you know, flush punches.
Yeah.
But as far as those big names like Haney, Teofimo, Tank, out of all those big names, who would you want to see Subriel Matias match up with the most?
I will say I'm good with all the guys you mentioned, Haney, Teo, Tank, but the hype is around Teofimo.
Yeah.
And I want to see that fight. That's a great action fight. That will sell out Madison Square Garden, no doubt.
Yeah, they're saying that, you know, if he beats Jermaine Ortiz, all the indications are that they'll go ahead and they'll try to do that fight for Puerto Rican Day weekend. You
Yep.
know, I actually had the luxury of talking to Teo Senior when I was at the WBA convention, and I asked him about it. You know, and he was like, "That's the fight they're gonna try to pursue if they go ahead and be victorious." So I'm gonna hold them to it. We're gonna see. These guys, they say a lot of things, but then when it comes time to fight that Puerto Rican boogeyman, it's a big difference.
Yeah, we see all these fights at 140 with Barbosa and Ryan. After their fights, the interviewer asks them, "Who do you want next?" They say everybody else but Matias.
They don't even say Matias.
I'm there waiting, looking at the screen like, I'm waiting for the Matias. I'm waiting for the Matias. Zero call for Matias. I'm like, here we go again. No one calls him out.
Yeah, so it is what it is, man. I would also like to see Matias fight and I mentioned it before on the channel, like Ismael Barroso. I feel like Barroso and Matias. If you can't get those big fights, Barroso, Matias, that's like the best alternative you can possibly do because of the punching power and the way their styles are mesh.
Oh yeah, that's a car wreck waiting to happen for sure.
Yeah,
Barroso has pops in both hands. He's durable. He can take a shot. He doesn't know what reverse is, and neither does Matias. So imagine.
And as old as he is, he might be the only guy that could has the firepower to keep him off for a little bit.
Yeah, some pop in both hands. Good left hook. Excellent timing for a 40-year-old as well. You saw in his last fight, he caught I forgot the guy's name with a left hook in the first round. Pretty quick.
Ohar Davies.
Yeah, he dropped him really good. And even though the stoppage was a bit iffy with Tony Weeks, it was impressive how he timed that left hook.
No, 100%. We do have some comments because I don't want to ignore the comments. We got my man Michael Manning. He says, "Love the collabs." My pops, shout out to Pop. He says, "Keep grinding and be professional." BT. Hurricane Hank says, "Ergashev is not at that level. He gets hit too damn much," and that proved to be true. Xavier Alexis says, "Saludos desde Caguas, Puerto Rico. Cuidate, campeones. Great job, guys. Matias gets everyone at 140." Yeah, and a lot of people are concurring. A lot of people are saying that Matias does beat everybody at 140. Jose, a lot of a match that keeps getting thrown around a lot here. It was last night too. Was the case was Gary Antoine Russell versus Matias. And Gary can't get fights right now for some reason, or he's not fighting or whatever the case. He's not really active. But what do you think about that fight?
That is a matter of fact. Me and my dad was talking about that fight the other day, and my dad was watching one of his the last fight he did with Victor Pusto.
Yes.
And he was not really too impressed. Yes, he sees the speed and the power, but it's not as blazing hand speed as people hype Gary Russell's hand speed to be. But in my opinion, he has some speed. He got some power. He's aggressive. He's an aggressive fighter. And in terms of style-wise, once he steps into the ring with Matias, and if he does step into the ring with Matias, it'll be a good fight. It'll be a good fight. I think he'll present some problems early in the round, some lightning speed from Matias. Some of those shots will get in. Russell's an excellent boxer puncher. And he's definitely going to give him some fits. Now, the question is for Russell, like everyone else I have, what are you going to do about it when those rounds pile up and that gas tank starts to get empty with Matias? And Matias' pressure starts, he's not going anywhere. He's still right in front of your face after 5 rounds. How will Russell respond to that like everyone else?
Yeah.
I think Russell has some problems of fading in fights. I think in the Victor Postol fight, he was a bit fadey, even though he got him out of there.
Well, he's had a couple like weird stoppages. Like there was a weird stoppage in that fight, and then I remember when he fought Bartholomew. Remember Bartholomew turning back the clock. Yeah, the Cuban, he was turning back the clock, and he was boxing him very well.
Yeah. Francis Bartholomew was really having some moments in that fight. I was really surprised. I was like, Russell is in trouble. And they were even talking about Matias versus Bartholomew.
Right now?
Not right now, but before I think that before that fight happened, they were talking about it.
Oh, you know what? I actually
it could have been a little after.
Maybe it could have, but I wanted to ask you about this because somebody brought this up last night. Did Josh Taylor duck Subriel Matias? Because someone was saying when Taylor fought Catterall and then he lost. Remember when Josh Taylor started dropping all the belts? They were saying that I think Matias became his IBF mandatory. Did that happen? Because I couldn't remember.
He did drop all the belts, but in terms of running from Matias, I won't doubt, but I'm not sure on the concrete of that answer. Like maybe so. Everyone is ducking Matias, every top fighter. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised if Josh Taylor said, "No, I'm out of here."
Yeah, and you know the other guy they were talking about too when I was live last night was Regis Prograis, and that was like I remember so clearly like Regis Prograis when he didn't have the belt, he was like nah nobody don't want to fight me, and then Subriel Matias is tweeting at him like every day, and then he's just acting like he don't exist. It took like a whole year to acknowledge Subriel Matias.
Not only that, when Matias didn't even have the IBF belt, Regis was like, I'm not no. When you get a belt, we can talk.
Yeah,
he has a belt now, no talking.
There wasn't a whole lot of talking.
No, now he lost his WBC title, so it's like that fight is no. Hopefully, it happens still.
Yeah, hopefully. Koki says, facts, Miracle. These dudes need to understand boxing. In the first round, it's much different than the sixth. If dudes don't have their feet and stamina on, Matias is gonna push the pedal and finish them off. And then he said Matias was a minute 12 for the IBF title. Taylor dropped it, and then Ponce fought Matias for the vacant. Okay, so that makes enough sense.
And I remember Ponce was going to fight Taylor for the belt. They were actually making Ponce the mandatory for Taylor.
Yeah.
Instead of Matias.
And
Taylor.
Go ahead.
Then Taylor dropped the belt. Then that's how we got Ponce and Matias.
Yeah, and then once we got Ponce and Matias, I remember the fight got pushed back because Ponce had visa issues out of nowhere, so that took a while, and then.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. The crazy thing about that. I went to New York for the first time ever in my life to see Matias Ponce.
Really?
At the Barclays against the Wilder Hellenius card. And I got my tickets booked, the fight tickets bought. And I'm screwed because I'm finding out the fight is no longer happening.
Oh man.
So guess what? I'm in New York with no Matias fight. And I got something good out of it though. I got a picture of Matias for the first time. He was there in person because Emmanuel Rodriguez was fighting on that card against Russell.
There you go. So it worked out.
It worked out.
At least it wasn't across the globe. I mean, I booked a flight to go watch Inoue in Fulton the first time, and I went all the way to. I mean, it worked out. I got to go to gyms and stuff like that. I interviewed Ken Shiro and Kosai Tanaka and them guys, but yeah, I was pissed off. I was a little pissed off when I found out.
Yeah, I remember the video. You were.
Yeah, I was upset. So it is what it is. But